What is going on, everyone? Chris Kennedy here, and I'm here to talk some college football. Now, full transparency, I'm an Alabama fan. I've been an Alabama fan since 1990. First game I watched was in a cabin in Dothan, Alabama, and it was the Blockbuster Bowl versus Colorado. Bama got to win 33-25. So I've been a Bama fan through thick and thin. And you would think that maybe I'd get on here and just talk Alabama football, but I'm a big college football fan just in general. And I pay attention to what's going on with all these teams. Doesn't have to be just SEC schools. Doesn't have to be Power 5 schools. I like paying attention to it all because there's good stories everywhere you look, and there's superstars everywhere you look. They're just maybe not on the front page like some of the guys at the bigger name schools are. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk the Missouri Tigers, an SEC East school, and I'm going to talk their head coach, Eliah Drinkwitz, who I think is going to be a up-and-coming superstar. You haven't heard a lot about him to this point, but I'm telling you right now, I think you will. Before I do that, though, go ahead, please like and subscribe to my channel. I'm just getting started. Any type of support you can give me would be greatly appreciated, and let's get into it. So Eliah Drinkwitz, 37 years old, head coach at the Missouri Tigers. 2021 will be his second full year in the job. And, if you pay attention to what he did last year, it wasn't really anything flashy, but there were a lot of things going on last year for all college football teams, and I don't think you can really judge anybody off of what they did in 2020. I'm going to explain, though, why I think this guy's good, but first I'm going to give you a little bit of backstory on him. So, 37 years old, like I said, started out coaching high school football in Arkansas. He was a high school coach from 2005 to 2009, and in fact, from 2006 to 2009, he coached Springdale High School. Now, if that sounds familiar, it's because that's where Gus Malzahn was the head coach at before he got into the college ranks. So Eli was the offensive coordinator from 2006 to 2009. And speaking of Gus Malzahn, when Gus was getting ready to become the offensive coordinator at Auburn, he went back to Springdale, talked to Eli, and said, hey, man, if you want to get into college ranks, I think you need to come up here to Auburn with me, and we can get your career started. So Eli goes back. He talks to his wife, Lindsay. They had just had their first child, and they go ahead and decide to make the move. Now, to put this in perspective, Eli was making $51,000 a year as a high school football coach. He goes to Auburn, and as a quality control guy, he's only making $15 grand a year. So that's a $35,000 plus pay cut he had to take. And him and his wife had just had their first of 4 daughters. So a big gamble. So what does a quality control guy do? They do a little bit of everything. They're out getting breakfast and coffee for the coaches. They're giving incoming recruits campus tours. They're taking coaches to the airport so they can go on recruiting trips. They're drawing up play cards. So it's really grunt work of college football, and that's how Eli got started. This was 2010 that he really got going, and it paid off with Auburn. He got a national championship. Gus was really recognized. And, in 2011, after the 2011 season, Gus said, hey, man, I'm going to Arkansas State. I'm going to be the head coach. And Eli decided, hey, I'm going to come with you. Eli goes to Arkansas State, really moves on from that quality control guy and becomes the running backs coach at Arkansas State. And they have success. They win the Sun Belt Conference in 2012. And after that 2012 season, Gus is offered the Auburn head coach after Auburn let go of Gene Chizik. But instead of Drinkwitz following Gus back to Auburn, he says, hey, I need to stay out and do my own thing. He stays at Arkansas State and is promoted to offensive coordinator, where Arkansas State yet again wins another Sun Belt Conference. So Brian Harsin, head coach at Boise State, takes notice of this, talks to Drinkwitz, offers him a position on the Boise State staff. Drinkwitz says, all right, let's do it. And he comes in 2014 for Boise State, and he coaches tight ends, helps Boise State win the Fiesta Bowl. After that, he is promoted to offensive coordinator in the 2015 season, and Boise State has even more success. North Carolina State, an FBS school, big-time school. Now he's starting to work his way up. Comes and talks to Drinkwitz about coming and being the offensive coordinator up with the Wolfpack for $150,000 a year more. and he agrees to do it. And he's the offensive coordinator from 2016 to 2018. In fact, in 2017 and 2018, North Carolina State won 9 games back-to-back years for the first time since 1991 and 92. And offensively, they were in the top 25 nationally. In 2018, Drinkwitz is also nominated for his first Broyles Award. Now, Appalachian State is looking for a head coach, and they decide to offer Drinkwitz the job. Now, mind you, this guy's never been a head coach before. Not at the high school level, certainly not in the college level. What does he do his first year as a head coach at Appalachian State? They go 12-1. They win their bowl game. He didn't coach in their bowl game because he moved on to Missouri, but like I said, they go 12-1, and he's nominated for the Eddie Robinson Coach of the Year Award. His first year as a head coach, and he's nominated for that award, one of the most prestigious awards that a head coach can be nominated for. I don't know if that's ever happened before with a first-year head coach, but if that doesn't impress you, I don't really know what does. I mean, just imagine your first shot at it, and you get recognized and, are in the running for Coach of the Year. So at the same time all this is happening, Missouri is going through their nightmares. Barry Odom goes 6-6. He just never really lived up to expectations, so they get rid of him, and Missouri is looking for a new coach. They look at Alex Grinch from Oklahoma. They look at Joe Brady from LSU. They even look at Dan Quinn from the Atlanta Falcons, or used to be the Atlanta Falcons head coach. All of those guys turn it down, and there's Drinkwitz sitting there. Missouri's got to hire somebody, and they go ahead and they give him a job. And they pay him good money. They pay him $24 million for 6 years. So he's making $4 million a year. There was an interview done by CBS's Derry Dodd, and he asked Drinkwitz, hey, how do you feel about not being Missouri's first choice? And jokingly, Drinkwitz said, hey, I wasn't my wife's first choice. I wasn't App State's first choice, and I wasn't Mizzou's first choice. But I was the best choice. Now, it's too early in his career to know if that's true or not, but what I will say is from looking at what he's accomplished in the past and some of the things that I've noticed that he's done even in his short time at Mizzou, I would say it's looking good so far. Now, like I mentioned, they go 5-5 in 2020, Mizzou does. They have a rough go at it. I mean, they were eaten up by coronavirus. They had bad-looking games versus, Mississippi State, Bama, Georgia, Florida. They lost to Tennessee, which we thought Tennessee was good at the time. They turned out not to be, but they also did some good things. Drinkwitz's first win at Missouri was against LSU, the defending national champions. They made that big goal line stand, and they got their first win. They went ahead and knocked off Kentucky for the first time. Kentucky had a 5-year win streak on them. I didn't even know Kentucky ever had a 5-year win streak on anybody, but that's a different story altogether. And then, they beat South Carolina in Columbia for the first time in a few years. So, I mean, there was a time where Missouri was looking like a pretty good team, and defensively they were a good team. I mean, Larry Roundtree was a good running back, and he's moving on now, but they had good players there. And in fact, they even crept into the top 25 for a short period of time. But, they ended up going 5-5. They had a chance to go to a bowl game, but it was canceled due to the coronavirus. The other thing that really stands out to me about this person is his ability to recruit. Now, in 2021, his recruiting class ranked 21st nationally. Now, I know compared to Bama, Georgia, LSU, A&M, some of these other schools, that might not be that impressive. But what I will tell you is it's the highest ranked recruiting class Missouri has ever had, according to Rivals.com, since they started tracking recruiting rankings in 2002. And Missouri had some pretty good teams if you think back not too long ago, and this recruiting class he had in 2021 was better than those classes. In 2022, his class right now is ranked 17th. So it appears that Missouri is trending in the right direction. Also, their schedule next year, you guys go take a look at it. it's pretty favorable. I would say that Mizzou is probably going to be favored in 9 of the 12 games they play. They won't be favored against A&M, Georgia, or Florida, but everybody else, I think they can win those games. I'm telling you right now, I think Missouri wins 9 games at a minimum, maybe 10 if they can beat Florida late in November in Missouri. So we will see how that plays out. Now, look, this is what I'll say. You know, when you look at coaches and who's the next great coach, it's hard to tell at this point really who that might be. But the next best coach is out there somewhere. We just haven't found him yet. And, you know, been looking at what Drinkwitz has done, and he might be the guy. There was a time where Nick Saban was just some dude at Michigan State 25, 30 years ago. There was a time just 11 years ago that Dabo Swinney was a coach that lost 5 in a row to South Carolina and 5 of 7 versus Florida State. Those are the best 2 coaches in the game right now. I don't think anybody would argue that. I don't know how it's going to turn out for Drinkwitz, but I'll tell you this. I'm drinking what he has going down at Mizzou right now. So you guys let me know what you think. Do you think I'm crazy for thinking this? And look, it wouldn't be the first time anybody told me I was crazy. So if you do, it's all good. Leave your comments down there. Let me know if you think Drinkwitz is going to work out in Missouri. Let me know if you think Missouri will have a successful season in 2022. And just, you know, stop by and let me know if this is something that you've even really noticed or took notice of before this point. I appreciate you guys listening to my videos. I'll be coming out with another one here soon. Until then, you guys take care.